I ran out of time to turn my essay in. Can I have a little extension? What would be the morally right thing to do? I mean, the rules are the rules, right? Remember the policeman who pulled me over for speeding, 87 and at 55? And I morally told him I was doing 127 when I slowed down. And he morally gave me a 75 and a 55. I needed a ticket. Should you have an extension on the time for your essay? How many of you were late would like an extension on the essay? It's 1:30 a grade. It's okay to raise your hand. I think it's reasonable, depending on the circumstances. And to say, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I missed a quiz, something happened. Life happens, right? You think it was fun falling off a second-story building? That was not fun. My boss told me to go home and take the afternoon off. As soon as I catch my breath, I'd be glad to stand up if I can. So for her, morality has to deal with our social relationships. Can you be a moral person in isolation? Well, you have to think about that. I could do wrong things even though I'm alone. But morality is better expressed when we live in community with one another and how we relate to one another. And the fifth one for her is progress. Over time, meaning to avoid stagnation. The good that we are missing is the good of growth, positive change, and progress. We do seem to value progress in itself and not just the good things that are outcomes of making progress. Some of our lives we admire most are lives transformed by adversity. We want our lives in some way to go from worse to better. It's precisely the process of going from broken to fixed, from clumsy to competent, from ignorant to familiar that makes life meaningful. If progress is necessary, then the progress we need must at least be moderate. We must avoid complete stagnation. Whenever we start, we should aim higher. It's these quite ordinary types of changes that we cannot do without. So we're making progress. We're going through life. We're doing things. Sometimes progress is taking 2 steps backwards and realizing, whoops, I think I'm going in the wrong direction. And then we make a fundamental change in our approach and we start going. Or maybe we need to make a right turn or we need to make a left turn. Do you know how boats sail? Boats are interesting. They never go from point A to point B in a direct line. We call it tacking. They go this way and then they go this way and they go this way and they go this way, and the entire time they're going forward. But they're being blown by the wind. Boats cannot sail without getting in line with the wind. And the wind never just goes in one direction. Oftentimes it's going left and right, left. Sometimes it blows against you and you end up going backwards a little bit. It's called life, people. Sometimes the winds of life just blow you backwards. Eventually it'll stop blowing and you have a choice whether you want to go forward again or not. You can change course. You're going to get to the 4-year school and you may decide you're there for English, and then you're going to go into politics and philosophy, and that's your entitlement. You're making progress. I talk to friends all the time and they question, what's going on, what's going on? I said, you're a work in progress. As long as you're moving, you're okay. It's when you stop moving that you have problems. And yet sometimes it's important that we stop. We're not stagnating, we're stopping. Reflection time. Sometimes we need to be alone. Sometimes we need to turn off all the noise, all of it, and listen to our own brains. And see if anything's going on up there. Or are we completely programmed by all the information that we're bombarded with all day long? Now, try it sometime. Just turn it all off, all of it, every bit of it, and see what you hear. Because the only thing that's left is you. Turn it all off. 5 minutes. Might be excruciatingly painful, but 5 minutes. I don't mean that sarcastically. No TV, no phone, no nothing. Just turn it off. Turn it off. Go someplace where everything is off and just listen. See what you hear. And it might help redefine the progress that you want your life to really be on. So she comes up with these 5 qualities. What do you think of her 5 qualities? Is she on the mark? Are these necessities, even if we add other things to it? How many of you think they're necessities? So I'm going to pigeonhole you now. What makes them necessities? I agree with you, but what makes them necessities?
The fact that they are very basic, and a lot of them have to do with your emotions and how you feel, which makes, and turning number one thing to happiness.
Is it? That's correct. Okay, good. Did you raise your hand too? No. Do you want me to call on you? Are you sure? Okay, I won't do that too. Go ahead.
Me?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Unless you want to pass it to him. No. He wants you to. Go ahead.
No, I think that she was pretty spot on. I thought that I like that each of them. At first, I was kind of like progress, and then with her explanation, it was easier to understand how they each relate to life and its experiences and how they all contribute to. Like, I really like their ideas.
Who else raised their hand? That's good too. Who else raised their hand? There were at least 3 I saw. No one else wants to be pigeonholed. Okay. Is there anything that should be added to our list? Go ahead.
I think not, because after that point, I feel like that's going into a more individual version.
Okay.
You know, we don't really realize that those contribute as much as they do. 'Cause at first, I was thinking like, you know, the previous one said, who was it again?
Nozick.
Yeah, Nozick. He said, you know, that happiness is everything, and you know, without any bad things happening, you live this perfect life, and everybody's kind of like not fully there. You know, nobody really wants to commit to that. But I mean, I think I like hers because she points out things that nobody really thinks of. I mean, who would think that control is a really big factor in life? And then all of her examples of it really show us that it's actually really important, because nobody wants to not be in control. You know, everybody wants to have some control over their lives. Like, we take her example of mental illness. Nobody wants to be mentally ill because we don't want that disability on our lives. We want to be in control of how we do things. So, I don't know, I think she just makes really good points.
Of course, that's really good. On the other hand, control requires accountability.
True.
So when we make a mistake, it's easy to take credit for what we do right and we get applauded for it, but when we do something that's not right, accountability, autonomy, you did it, shouldn't you be accountable for it? Now, does that make for a better character?
Yeah.
So autonomy is a two-edged sword.
Yeah.
When it works right, it's really good. When it doesn't, it's still good.
Yeah.
And it might even provide a better benefit, but excellent. Appreciate it. Go ahead.
The only problem I have with this list, actually, is that I feel like a few of them, especially autonomy and self-expression, are very cultural and based on how you were raised. Because, over in the West, we were raised to be very self-expressive and to have our own autonomy. But for certain cultures, that's not really that important to them at all.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. That's a great point, too. Which brings us back to the box. Which brings us back to self. You know, some people choose to live in other cultures. They find them very attractive. Did you ever see The Last Samurai movie with Tom Cruise? He made a valuable decision in his life that he adopted a different culture. There's a lot of things. I've been in 17, I'll get to you in a minute. I've been in 17 countries in my life. I've lived in 3 of them. And I spent time in each one of the other ones. And there's a lot of things that are attractive about other cultures. In Europe, men would walk down the street arm in arm. And they didn't have the phobias that we have. A friend of mine from Chile, in South America, way down at the southern end of the globe, 2 months after his father died, his family found him, located him, and told him. And I flew down there with him just so I could accompany him to his father's grave. And we walked, South America they do, we walked through the cemetery arm in arm, you know, and he stood by the grave and he grieved, and then we walked back out the same way. And those cultures don't see anything wrong with it. It's just a part of, like women walk hand in hand together, arm in arm together, you know, and men dance in many cultures together. They don't dance with women, not that they wouldn't, but some of them won't because women are separate from men. There are cultures that do that too, but when you're exposed to other cultures, suddenly you realize, wow, I guess I am in this little box that's culturally driven. So your point's really well taken. Go ahead.
What about, I feel like it's missing like a goal or a purpose. Doing all of this without having an idea of what you want in the long run kind of seems pointless, whether that be, you know, broad, like I just want to be happy, I just want to be content, or if it's, you know, I want to be president of the United States type goal. I feel like that should be stay there because you're kind of doing all that stuff aimlessly. You have the purpose behind it.
That's a great point, yeah. How many of you, it's okay if you, how many of you do have goals in your life? You've got a point you're aiming to. That's good. That's good. Given that, do these 5 help you get there? Yeah. Now for some, something may be negative too. I mean, some people do really well when other people give them directions. They're not controlling them necessarily, but they're giving them directions. Some people do very well with that. And we have to accept that. For them, autonomy may not be that big an issue as long as life turns out good. It's called mentoring. And do you know what mentoring is? Mentoring is when you find someone that you think has enough influence on your life, a positive influence, to give you direction, to make suggestions. But sometimes, you say, oh, I like that, and you go that way, and it does seem like it's a controlling situation. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. How many of you have mentors in your life? Anybody have a mentor in their life now? But you've had them. How many of you have had mentors in your life? So eventually that probably will happen. Sometimes it's a parent or family relation. Other times it's faculty. Sometimes it's other friends. Sometimes it's people you work with, people that just seem to take an interest in you and are willing to share life with you. That's what mentors do, they should. In a perfect world, they share experiences with you. I have people say, well, I don't know what to do. Well, if it was me, this is what I would do, and I always couch it in that. Then you leave them the freedom to be autonomous, to make their own decisions. But it helps to have someone give you another idea that necessarily wouldn't pop into your mind. You go, wow, that's a great idea. I never would have thought of that. And that comes out of us on a regular basis. And that's why it's helpful to have friends around us. So that's where she comes with the morality, that we're not in this alone. John Donne was right. No one is an island unto themselves. We can be isolated, but in the end, we're all connected. You didn't pop into the world by yourself. So there's some influences that are there, at least in the earliest stages. So you have 4 ethicists you'll see on your quiz. Epicurus, you'll see Mill, you'll see Nozick, and you'll see Kazaz. I would look at these PowerPoints, take time to little videos that maybe 3 to 5 minutes that explain the points in very simple ways. Of course, the notes. Honestly, I expect everybody to be able to get 100 on your quiz. Have it done before 11:59 on Sunday night, otherwise it's late. And I will see you on Tuesday next. If you came in late, on Monday next. If you came in late, let me know you're here. Really good ideas. That was really cool.